What's happening in tech that concerns you?
Well, I agree with the comments that that you made about social media, and I think that there's a couple of fears of AI. Let me start by saying the fear of the robot taking over the world and trying to assassinate you, and the female scientist assassinating the robot at the end of the movie is a really good movie, but we're not building that, right? It's not happening.
Okay.
So
Good.
So let me give you
glad
some.
to hear that.
So enjoy the movie. So let me give you some examples of really hard things to think about. The systems that I'm describing have the ability to aggregate data and do targeting. And one of the things that they can do, for example, is take a biological database, and we're learning, as you know from your stem cell work, we're learning how biology works. So from that database, I believe that algorithms will appear over the next 5 or so years that will allow you to stitch together very bad viruses. Now, we've just been through this, but I can imagine an evil person getting access to that. That's a really important thing. That's a real possibility through this technology. Nations, all of us, have to get organized around preventing that, and there are ways of preventing it. Another example has to do with war and conflict. We have this horrendous war in Ukraine, which we can talk about. But the important thing about the way militaries work is they're around human decision time. Oh, here's my target, here's my problem, here's an incoming attacker. When these attacks and fight and challenges occur faster than human decision times, computers have to make the decision. This is a cyber war. And the problem in a cyber war is it's possible for the AI to be wrong. The AI systems today are not 100% right. They're often, in fact, wrong. And for life-critical things, which certainly war is, you don't want that. I'll give you another example. Let's say I was an evil social media CEO, which I wasn't and will not be. So we're clear, I'm not taking on that. What I would do is I would pick each and every one of you, and I would figure out what you care about, and I would spin just so much misinformation at you, so much disinformation at you, and I would do it in my case, because I'm an evil social media CEO, for revenue, but I can imagine nation states and so forth doing that for other reasons.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen examples, real-life examples of that happening.
Well, and in fact,
I mean, that's not just a scenario.
if you look
right?
at the Russian interference in the 2016 election, it was done by humans. It wasn't done by automated computers.
I see.
But the fact of the matter is, it's an easy step to automate what the humans are doing. Now, you sit there and you go, I'm highly educated and so forth. If you look at American politics, which is, thank God we're in Singapore, when you look at, and can you imagine having executives as competent as Dr. Bay in America? I mean, unbelievable. The EDB I've worked with for 20 years. I mean, can you imagine if we had those kinds of governments? And all of my political friends in Europe and the United States spend all of the time basically worrying about the impact on the information space, because you get people who become radicalized. I'll give you another example. In YouTube, we have had a problem for a long time around legal but harmful content. And the question was, what do you do? Now, Britain has a law that is not passed yet, which defines legal and harmful content, says the British government will define what that content is and will regulate it. That's never going to work in the US for all the reasons that you know. So we've got to come up with some way of addressing this. And so to me, the most important thing is to say that you can go and change the information space. And one dystopian scenario is that we collectively end up with nothing but anxiety, because these systems come at us over and over and over again with misinformation, and we lose our capacity to distinguish it. In YouTube's case, we had a situation where people would watch a video, and we had a very good recommendation engine, and they would suggest another one, and then another one, and by the end of the night, they were radicalized. This was legal, but not good speech. And so the company debated this a long time and decided that because it was legal, it would stay on, but we wouldn't suggest it, we wouldn't recommend it. In other words, if you watch the first video, the second one would not be in the same venue. That struck me as the right balance between these two.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of debates that each country has got to have, and you've got to have them right now. You and I know, are strongly in favor of free speech, but we have to be careful not to then proselytize it, or what I say, boost it.
Yeah.
The social media implications of boosting with AI generation targeted at revenue are profound. That's why we're in the current mess.